I'm Steph Garcia with D1.ticker and Collegiate Sports Connect, and I'm delighted to be joined by Georgia Southern AD Jared Benko to discuss the recent lead gift to the Eagles' indoor practice facility and the momentum that brings to Statesboro. Thanks for joining us, Jared.
No, thanks for having me. I appreciate you having me on.
Well, let's talk about this gift from alum Anthony Tippins and his family. What kind of momentum does this bring to other potential donors and friends of Georgia Southern?
Well, it's huge because when I got here, even during the interview process, we talked about the need for an indoor practice facility, not only for football, but for all 17 sports. And I had a lot of people early on say, hey, that's not a possibility. There's not the appetite or the money or the funds from donors and others to get it done. And so really it's more affirmation that, one, it can be done here, and two, we've already raised over $5 million in 11 months. And that's also on the heels, this project is going to be a little over $12.5 million. We also have almost a $60 million arena that starts in March as well. And so the great thing is we go out and talk to donors and talk to prospective student athletes and others. We have over $70 million in projects that are starting this spring. And so the momentum side, we haven't had that much as far as capital projects done here, maybe ever. And so there's a ton of momentum. This league gift was huge, though, because it really put the flag in the ground saying, hey, this thing is coming. It's not 2 years off, 3 years off. It's coming, and we're going to be starting here in a couple months.
How does this help give your long-term vision and recent strategic plan a boost? And where are you looking to go next?
Well, there's always a host of things you want to accomplish. There's never that list always just gets deeper and deeper of things to get done. But this is a huge one because really for us last year we set a record fundraising year, or had a record fundraising year in the middle of a pandemic, and so also in the first year for not only me but for most of our staff. And so this indoor facility has been a huge focus, as well as the arena. And when both these projects get going, then we can sit there, not only reassess and work through the strategic plan, but then we can start looking at what else needs to be upgraded. And there's always things especially at the group of 5 level, where you're not getting the huge distribution checks every June, like in my previous institutions in the SEC. But you're going to sit there and say, all right, what can we knock out now? And then let's sit there and look at the next 3 to 5 years. And for us, that'll be within the football stadium on the home side, and start working on plans for that. So there's always that list that you're constantly churning through and reevaluating. But it's nice to have two of the top focuses, at least. Not only the money's being fundraised for, and we've hit the threshold to start, but we're going to keep fundraising because we want to get it fully funded. So,
what is the status update for this project? Because I know that this gift now allows you to finalize the schematic design, finalize construction costs. What's kind of the next step?
Yeah, really, you mentioned the actual answer to it. We got to finish the design process and the schematics. And so for us, we'll have a chance here probably coming after the holidays to engage, in particular, the coaches will use this facility a good bit. And we'll probably start getting more into the minutia of the weeds of using this and operationalizing this facility. But the goal, obviously, is the big piece from a construction standpoint is ordering the steel, because as we know from a supply chain disruption, that's the big piece for us, is getting the steel and the joist in. And so that process will happen hopefully as soon as maybe yesterday. I don't know. Hopefully we can get that at least on the docket. And then we'll sit there and finalize not only the plans, but again, the operational piece, because that's what's so important is, when we bring this online, let's just say in January, February of 23, obviously it'll be past football season, but it will allow baseball and softball to get in there first. And then you also have spring football in 23 as well. So each sport's going to be unique and different. And the FF&E, the fixtures, furniture, and equipment piece is going to be huge for this, because that's how we really get the most out of this building. So,
well, speaking of coaches and coaching input, you were a first mover on the coaching carousel this season with the hire of Coach Helton. Yeah. What has he brought to the table in terms of a vision for this facility and just for the program in general?
He's a pro's pro. I mean, he brings instant credibility to the program. Throughout the interview process, he had a vision for a program, and to his point, when he took over at USC, he's never had a chance to build a program from the ground up, which is what he's doing now. And so he's re-energized not only me, but everyone on our staff and our coaches that we continue to discuss building out a staff, because really for him, he's done it at a high level and he's had success at a high level. And so right now he's obviously hitting the recruiting trail really hard. And there's just excitement because He understands at a high level, like a lot of our staff that have been at the Power 5 level and have been elite level and been on elite teams, what it takes to have a winning program. And so a lot of times there's not a whole lot of re-education piece. It's really more of alignment right out of the gate of what are the successful programs in the country, what do they look like, why are they successful, and all the behind the scenes stuff that goes along with it. So he's brought a lot of excitement, a lot of enthusiasm, energy, and our fans and our donors, they're excited as well. And it's been a really good transition.
Well, one of the really exciting public-facing features of this facility is the tailgating suites and turnkey tailgating areas. What are some of the program-facing bells and whistles that you're excited about?
Well, if you follow, I mean, I say follow me on Twitter, but I like to grill out. So I like to anything with, smoking different meats and the grilling component, which is really cool. So this facility is kind of a combination of two places. My two most recent places, I was at Mississippi State and Auburn. So Auburn Arena had some outdoor suites, really kind of piggybacked on the Coliseum there, the arena. And then Mississippi State, when we did the $68 million project, doing double field with the lofts in the outfield, we recreated left field lounge. And really, the commonality between baseball and football is those are social driven sports. There's a communal aspect to them. And so when we're developing this envelope and looking at this facility, we're saying, hey, listen, anybody can build, 120, 150 yard facility like this. But given the proximity to the stadium, how can we enhance the game day process? And oh, by the way, I'm not aware of any facility like this that can actually generate and help service the debt. And so the revenue component for this is huge. And the parallel piece is so exciting for me is, it creates revenue, but we know it's going to enhance the game day experience. The other piece too, Steph, is unlike a lot of places, we have, donors coming that are local, that are hour and a half, 3 hours away. And what you'll see is for us, we haven't had the price points differentiation that we need. And also too, the consumer is paying for convenience. Right. And so there's been an increase in premium, interest. There's also been interest in convenience. And so you factor that in, we're going to have various price points as well. And it creates a supply and demand piece as well with a change in parking. So overall, we're really excited about it. And it's going to allow us, and I'll give you a great example, Steph. We have our largest concentration of donors are in Atlanta. And Atlanta is roughly 3 hours, give or take, depending upon traffic and whatnot. Well, if you think about that typical day, it could be a 12 or 15-hour day. And so what we're trying to do is people that we're not making the tailgating component a deterrent anymore. We want to have people show up and hit the tailgate right out of the gates. And that we feel that's going to enhance game day and ultimately is going to bring in new people to the game day experience and more people in the funnel. So,
are there any exciting elements that the student athletes themselves will get to experience just on a year-round level?
Yeah. So really for us, if you think about, our competitiveness, because right now when football, we have inclement weather or the heat, they have to go into a basketball gym. And it's hard to get any type of productive work in there. Softball, baseball, soccer, when it's inclement weather, they're not in a great situation. And then on top of that, when you have a brand new facility, 150 yards, we can also start using that for programmatic things. So we have a declare your major day. We have all these type of activities in our Apex program. Now we have a facility, rain, snow, or shine. Doesn't snow much down here, but rain or too much sun, we can go inside and always have a venue. And so we're excited about it because as we continue to develop the envelope and all the FF&E pieces, we're going to engage our coaches, but we're also going to engage our student athletes. Like we're building out a fueling station right now for our student athletes. We're actually engaging SAC on a couple options of, hey, what do you think about this? If we did this, would you use it? And so for us, we're always trying to find ways to engage a student athlete, and this facility will be no different. So
I love that. I'm a former student athlete myself, and I would have loved to have that chance to be part of the planning process. But my final question is, you have a strong SEC background, and obviously the SEC is known for its fundraising prowess and its innovation. What kind of energy and new ideas are you bringing here to Georgia Southern?
Well, I think it's a combination of really, you're only as good as those around you. And so we have a great team. And so everyone that was here when I got here and the people we've brought in, it's really just it's a cumulative effect of a lot of best practices across the country. And so every time we have an opening or a search, we try to have a diverse candidate pool. We have bringing people from all over the country, some small schools, some big schools. And so what happens is when you have a lot of people at the table and you work across the aisle, when you do facility projects like this, all of a sudden someone can bring something up that you had no idea about. And so for us, the piece that I think is the one thing I'm really proud of is when you're in the SEC, which in my opinion is the best league obviously in the country, everything matters. Everything has a priority. And so to me, that's one of the things when I got here and when we talk to our staff about is to our coaches, it's about winning the day. It's not, we're not going to sit here and say it's a good season or not based on outward facing accomplishments and your way out. For us, it's embracing the day and winning the day. And that's the one thing I would say when I brought here from the SEC and other people we brought in from the SEC and other conferences is the total embracement of the student athlete enrichment process and taking it one day at a time. And then ultimately as coaches and staff, it's about us emptying our bucket, right? Or emptying our cup. We can't always dictate of is it received well or is it received in full. But in the day, if you empty your cup and you win the day, that cumulative effect is ultimately going to lend itself to the outcome you want. And so I think that competitive piece of every day you bring your lunch belt, every day you gotta get ready because in the SEC, if you don't, you get exposed. It's so competitive. And so that's what I think hopefully is kind of our mark here is that we're trying every day to push as hard and fast as we can. And ultimately, when we talk about a family stuff, just like for me and I'm sure for you and others, when you think of family, you think of all the good times, right? You think of all the things that make your family special. There's also times where you've had some crucial conversations with your family, right, for various things. And so for us is we take pride in having honest, open conversation and dialogue. But ultimately, when we make a decision, we're all, behind it and we're all pushing, I say pushing the same direction or pulling the same direction, however you want to look at it. So.
Well, that speaks to the champions mindset that you are really developing and honing there at Georgia Southern. So thank you so much, Jared, for your time. We're really excited to keep following along with this project and then, eager to wait on more news out of Statesboro, especially with this basketball project that you just shared.
That was great. Well, I appreciate your time, Steph.
Of course. Thank you. Go Eagles.
All right. Hail Southern, GATA.